So much. Good morning.
It was all smiles as Mayor LaToya Cantrell arrived in the council chamber for a rare appearance Monday. But the mood quickly changed as she spoke publicly for the first time about her decision to change the speed at which drivers are ticketed in school zones.
I stand by that decision and will not in any way apologize for that.
Cantrell turned off a number of traffic cameras as part of a campaign promise, but that created a drop of about $4 million a year in revenue. The change from a buffer of 26 miles per hour to 24 in school zones wasn't announced. The administration says safety was the only factor.
As far as explaining to the public how much more you can break the law was not a decision in the calculation.
The council members were skeptical about the reason for the change, given that it could bring in as much as $7 million a year.
If this is all about public safety, probably the best way to have drivers slow down is to let them know in advance that the traffic cameras are going to be recalibrated to you, and you don't even necessarily have to say like at what speed, but that they're going to catch you at a lower speed.
Chief Administrative Officer Gilbert Montano told the council that from February 4th to March 29th, 41,000 tickets have been written and that $215,000 has been collected so far. Budget Committee President Jared Brosette says that since the change wasn't publicly announced, he and the council want some form of amnesty, something the Cantrell administration says is not in the works.
I apologize. I thought I had spoke to that earlier. It will not be a program specifically for those folks. It will be a broader program.
Now, Jared Brosette says that he's not going to let up on this. He's told the administration to expect to be asked every month for a plan until they come up with one. Reporting live at City Hall, Danny Monteverde, Eyewitness News.